Rivers and streams are the backbone of Colorado's economy. They support our agriculture, industry, recreation, and they provide critical life sustaining habitat for our wildlife. Rivers and streams are much more than the water we see in their channels. Rivers and streams are corridors that are constantly evolving, responding to and shaping the landscape around them. Stream corridors include the active channels and floodplain, as well as the adjacent hill slopes, all of which are physically and biologically connected to a stream. As water, sediment, nutrients, and wood move from steep uplands down to valley bottoms, stream channels slowly, and sometimes rapidly, shift their shape and location. This natural movement leaves behind a tapestry of rich, complex habitat for plants, animals, and insects. A healthy river is a moving river. Stream channel movement, stream bank erosion, sediment, and debris deposition are all natural processes. And these natural processes become hazardous when they encounter buildings, roads, and other infrastructure located in or near stream corridors. Flooding is the most common natural disaster in the United States and results in significant property and infrastructure damage every year as stream channels dramatically alter their shape and location during a flood. Floods have resulted in 11 federal disaster declarations for Colorado, with at least one major flood occurring every decade dating back to the late 1800s. Flood losses in Colorado average nearly $100 million annually in property damage. As we move ahead, more intense flood events may impact our stream corridors as a result of climate change. Historically, local governments have managed development in stream corridors by relying on FEMA's guidelines to create flood insurance rate maps. Flood insurance rate maps are used to establish flood insurance premiums for homeowners through the National Flood Insurance Program. These maps can also inform communities of the hazards that come from standing or moving water during a flood. These maps are based on an estimate of where water will go within a river and its floodplain. While useful, these maps do not account for the impacts of sediment and debris deposition, channel movement, or potential impacts to development on hill slopes next to floodplains. Since 1978, approximately half of all National Flood Insurance Program claims in Colorado have come from properties located outside of the high-risk, flood-prone areas depicted in FEMA flood insurance rate maps. These maps only tell part of the story of the hazards found in stream and river corridors. In 2015, Colorado Senate Bill 15-245 was signed into law with the objective of better identifying certain natural hazards throughout the state, including those from river erosion. In response, the Colorado Water Conservation Board developed a program to help communities identify and map these additional flood-related hazards. This program, named the Fluvial Hazard Zone Program and sometimes referred to as FHZ, has developed a science-based methodology to help communities and landowners understand existing risk and better plan within stream corridors.
What we saw after the floods of 2013 that really encouraged us to start the Fluvial Hazard Zone program was different types of flooding that we hadn't seen at that large a scale. It was the erosion underneath structures and not the inundation flooding.
To better understand, plan for, and communicate the hazards and opportunities within stream corridors, many Colorado communities are choosing to map the Fluvial Hazard Zone. The Fluvial Hazard Zone is defined as the area a stream has occupied in recent history, may occupy, or may physically influence as it stores and transports water, sediment, and debris. Fluvial hazard zones are mapped primarily by river scientists who study how moving waters shape the earth. These fluvial geomorphologists map fluvial hazard zones by interpreting topographic, geologic, and geomorphic information. That is, the data that describes the physical location, form, and sediment and debris movement in a river system. The Colorado Water Conservation Board believes that fluvial hazard zone maps will help communities make informed decisions about personal safety and evacuations, protect critical infrastructure and financial assets, and better plan for emergencies. Some communities may choose to use fluvial hazard zone mapping in their land use planning, and some may choose to voluntarily adopt them for land use regulation at the local level. Because stream corridors are environmentally and economically important areas, Fluvial hazard zone maps can also aid in prioritizing lands for conservation, environmental restoration, or preservation of compatible land uses such as agriculture and ranching. Flooding and fluvial geomorphic hazards are nothing new in Colorado. However, as wildfires become more common, these hazards are likely to become more widespread with more intense post-fire flooding. As Colorado's FHZ mapping program progresses, it is demonstrating value for post-wildfire flood planning and response.
One of my biggest goals is to use it in planning for wildfires so that we know areas where people might be at risk in advance of a disaster, and we can identify mitigation projects before disaster.
Stream corridors are tremendous community assets and function as a natural infrastructure. If stream corridors are not managed at the community level, Coloradans will bear an ever-increasing burden as a result of flood disasters, repair costs, and disruptions. When stream corridors are kept intact, they can protect our communities by storing sediment and debris, slowing floodwaters, and reducing erosive forces on banks and hillsides. In 2021, the Colorado Water Conservation Board's Fluvial Hazard Program was awarded the Tom Lee Award for Excellence in Floodplain Management from the Association of State Floodplain Managers. This nationally recognized program has now been piloted in 9 communities throughout the state and vetted by national experts in natural hazards mapping. Since the program's inception, fluvial hazard zone maps have been created for over a dozen Colorado communities, with many more on the way. The Colorado Water Conservation Board is committed to assisting communities that wish to map and manage fluvial hazard zones by providing technical guidance and funding. If you're interested in having your community's river corridor mapped, please contact the Colorado Water Conservation Board to learn more. We thank you for your interest in the Fluvial Hazard Zone program and encourage you to learn more at www.coloradofhz.com.